Yaskawa. This video shows how to get MotionWorks IEC to communicate with the controller by setting the project IP address. I have communication between the PC and the controller using the web interface, but the MotionWorks IEC project must also be given the controller's IP address. This is called the project IP address, and there are two ways to set it. The first is in the project tree under Physical Hardware. Right-click on the Resource folder and choose Settings. The term Resource in IEC 61131-3 means any PLC or controller in the system. In this window, the IP address for the project can be changed. For example, my controller IP address is 192.168.1.3. So I want the project to point to that controller, and I'll click OK. Communication from the project to the controller can now be tested using online project control. This brings up the resource window. There's that IEC term again, resource. If the resource window appears and the buttons are active here, that means that your project will talk to the controller when required, and you can see the state of the processor up at the top. Usually the state will be on, run, or stop. If there's a communication problem, the state will read timeout. The timeout usually occurs when the controller is off or rebooting, or you just typed in the IP address incorrectly. So if you do have a timeout, just confirm communication to the controller in the web server and confirm your IP settings and try again. Please understand that it's not necessary to leave this resource window open. In fact, we strongly recommend leaving it closed during code development and open it only when downloading or warm starting, etc. is necessary. So I will close that. The second way to set the project IP address is in the hardware configuration. You can see that the IP address next to the connect button has synchronized with the resource setting that we just made. And if you go to TCP IP settings, you'll see the project's IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway settings for the controller. These are the same settings as available on the controller under Ethernet config, but in the hardware configuration, they pertain to the project as opposed to a direct setting on the controller. But rather than manually copying these settings to the project, we typically connect to the controller and then update all of the settings to synchronize with the project. So I'll use the connect button, and I'll choose the configuration on the controller, which will always be on the right-hand side of this screen. I can now see that the controller's IP settings have been imported into the hardware configuration. And now, while still online, I can save this configuration to both the project and the controller with this Save button. And the IP address will remain completely synchronized between project and controller from this point on. Online save in hardware configuration does require controller reboot. OK, and then from the online menu, I can choose Reboot Controller. Do make sure the machine has stopped, and you will lose the online connection. Hardware configuration does not have to be online or even open during code development, so I will close it. The controller has rebooted. We're back to the programming screen, and the project control still has communication. Thanks for watching this video, and remember yaskawa.com/IEC for application notes, videos, firmware updates, and more.